Nos acompaña Michael McQuaid, es un personaje irlandés que nos acompaña. Michael hace muchas cosas. Es columnista de fútbol americano para la cadena y la plataforma mediática RTE en Irlanda. También está a cargo de Pro Football Ireland. De hecho, está aquí en el Super Bowl con una mesita al lado, un vecino nuestro, donde están transmitiendo y hablando de fútbol americano para Irlanda desde la mañana temprano. Imagínense el cambio de horario entre Irlanda y Nueva Orleans. Y también está a cargo de Steelers Ireland. Es la página y el podcast que se encarga de Steelers. Así que de cierta manera estamos atados al mismo equipo de esa manera. Pero queremos hablar un poquito de Dublín e Irlanda como destino, como país atractivo para la NFL. I just said in Spanish, I'm sure you understood every word, that let's start talking about why teams are going to Ireland. The Steelers are not the only one. You've got the Jags, you've got the New York Jets. The Steelers, you understand about the family relationship, the fact that the Rooneys come from Newry in the north, so they want to be in Ireland. The other two teams point at a draw by a relatively small country in Europe, 7 million people including the north, 5 million in the south, in the Republic. And so the question is, why Ireland?
Well, first off, thank you very much for having me on. Muchas gracias, hombre. I lived in Spain for 1 year and my Spanish is not great, so I will just speak in English and I'll speak as slowly as I can. It's a really interesting time for the market in Ireland, I believe. You know, if you look back from 2007 when you had the first London game, and you're talking in the guts of almost 30 years, it's taken maybe 25-ish years to get teams both in the UK and Ireland. Let's just be honest. First off, you're a 45 to 1 hour flight away from London, from Dublin or Belfast, and we all speak the same language. So I think that's the first reason why a lot of teams which have marketing rights in the UK, which includes Northern Ireland, so there's a lot of teams in Northern Ireland that, so for example, the 49ers will have technically the marketing rights, but they wouldn't have the marketing rights for the entire island. And I think firstly, I can't speak for the Jags or for the Jets, but I think for a lot of those guys, it's, well, we have the marketing rights in the UK and Northern Ireland, so let's do it in the Republic as well. The owner of the Jets, the original owner was born on St. Patrick's Day. That's what they said when they announced the marketing agreement. I think it just poses a new opportunity for fans as well. There's a lot of NFL fans in Ireland, and we see that in terms of the amount of people that fly to London games and Germany games every year in airports. And I think that's a real standout as well. Also, you know, in terms of financial situations, the Republic of Ireland is in the European Union. The UK is not. I think that poses a real growth strategy for the NFL. I'm not going to sit here and say that they'll move their office to Dublin, but I think for a lot of teams financially that's beneficial. You've got a lower rate of corporation tax, and you've got both the infrastructure and the stadia there for any potential future game. But also, we're just good fun, you know. I think that's what it is as well. So I think, look, it would be amiss of me not to say I live in Northern Ireland. I live up north, and I live about 30 minutes away from where the Rooney family are originally from. And I think we said this the other day, you can't put a price, or you cannot sum up that relationship, I think, in terms of any other team in the market with all 32 clubs. It's special, and I think it's a great honour to see the Rooney family continue that legacy, and I know that guys like Dan would be looking down, being very, very proud of what his family are doing now.
Michael is being modest, está siendo muy modesto, porque hay un tema llamado el tigre irlandés. Los tigres asiáticos son Taiwán, Hong Kong, Corea, Singapur. Irlanda es el tigre europeo. ¿Por qué? Porque hay una tasa de impuesto del 15% a nivel corporativo, que es la más baja, no de Europa, del mundo. Y por lo tanto, muchas empresas foráneas grandes que tienen tener operaciones dentro de la comunidad europea van allá y se establecen en Dublín y se establecen en Irlanda y hacen sus negocios europeos desde ahí, e inclusive registran patentes en Irlanda, pues, donde también pagan impuestos mucho más bajos. So from that point of view, from a corporate sales point of view, it punches much higher than its population.
Well, I think first off, if you look at the fact that Irish America is about 9.5% of people that live in America have Irish heritage, and that's great to see for a start.
I think that's low, by the way.
It is low, and your surname's Martin, so you've definitely got a bit of Irish in you as well. Yeah, the Irish tiger, the Celtic tiger, really maximised in the early 2000s, and then sort of, obviously with the downturn in 2009, 2010, it's came back again. The Irish government is working at a huge surplus. They're almost working like a Middle Eastern country. They're taking the billions of euros that they have left aside and keeping it in a rainy day fund almost. But of course, you've said it about patents and different companies. And one of the things that I should have mentioned, we have a college football game every year, and the Notre Dame game 2 years ago made €150 million for the economy in the space of 1 week. That's real figures. That was reported by Tourism Ireland, and it shows you that we're very, very lucky to have that relationship with the United States, in the sense of the respect, the history, the people that are being brought up here. They're proud of where they're from, and I'm really proud. As an Irishman, I'm so proud of the relationship that we have, not just with the United States, but with football fans as well. I feel like we've got a good rep across the league, but certainly corporate. There's so many opportunities, not just in the Republic, but in Northern Ireland as well. Especially when you've got a city like Belfast, which is trying to grow every year, and Dublin is one of the highest performing cities economically in Europe, if not the world. So it's definitely a great time. And going back on some of the clubs that you mentioned, the Jets, the Jags and the Steelers all made draft picks in Ireland in 2024. I believe there was only one pick made in the UK, and the Jets were the first team in the history of Ireland, or the island of Ireland, to make a draft pick minutes before the Steelers then made one. But I think it's those small steps, and the fact that the Steelers as well, we'll talk about Croke Park in a minute, but they've had 2 sold out watch parties, Antonio Holmes, Alan Faneca, and that's just been really, really cool to see teams come in to make a foothold in the market. The Jets have had a watch party this season. The Jaguars have done events in the off season last year with different guys like Tony Baselli, and it's good to see that they recognise that. I think a future growth strategy for these UK marketing clubs is Ireland, because I think when you're coming to almost the 30-year mark of the London Games, which is great, and we're very, very grateful for that, there needs to be that extensive growth strategy on, okay, how can we build this? How can we make it bigger every year? And I think Ireland's that market that they can do it in.
Now let's look at Ireland as a football market, as a place where you play, practice and live and develop the football culture which already you're so immersed in. Hablemos ahora de Irlanda como un lugar de fútbol americano, no el potencial de mercado en la parte económica, estrictamente deportiva. Tell us, first of all, what are the more favorite teams amongst the fan base, and then how would you see football in any of its forms in Ireland?
In terms of football, so first off, we have an all-island league, which is both Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. In terms of kitted, as in what the football that we're used to, for American Football Ireland, and there's teams in Belfast, Dublin, Cork, different parts of Ireland, and they compete in 3 divisions, and it's probably the highest level of what we have. The final game of the year, a bit like the Super Bowl in July, is called the Shamrock Bowl. And a couple of years ago at Ulster's Rugby Stadium in Belfast, there was about 2,500 to 3,000 people, which doesn't seem like a lot of people when you look at like the European League of Football. I know you guys in Mexico and stuff have got big turnouts, but we're trying to grow the game. And I think one element as well, just from a side of that, we don't have a European League of Football team yet. Hopefully we do in the future, but we have a really thriving and growing flag football community. We had the opportunity to host the IFAF European Flag Football Championships in Limerick last year. We also have a really thriving community in terms of our female athletes and our male athletes that play flag football in terms of Ireland, and they're really pushing and trying to find a way, and they hope, and we really hope and pray that they can get to LA 28. It's going to be a big challenge with the teams that are in Europe and the amount of people that can go, but the girls, the guys are so motivated, and it's a testament to the work that they put in behind the scenes. These are people that work on a voluntary basis, and even with a kidded league as well, they travel the island of Ireland, where maybe the infrastructure is not as high as America in terms of roads. It takes hours to get from A to B. So it's a really growing community. We've also got a flag football league across the island of Ireland, and I know that certain teams in the market want to develop a flag football league for both boys and girls this year. I know that's coming down the pipeline. I don't want to get in trouble, but I know that's coming, and it's like that. Look, that's great news, and look, the more the merrier. But certainly the sport is on an upward trajectory in Ireland. Obviously Gaelic football, hurling, which is like with a stick, is the biggest in Ireland. In Croke Park, it would have maybe 80,000 people at a game. Soccer, rugby, it's like the one thing that we're really good at. Rugby, like we're number 1 in the world at the minute in rugby. So we're very lucky. We're a sporting country, a sporting island. It unites people. It brings people together. We're obviously a country or an island with a lot of conflict and maybe external negativity over the last 60 or 70 years. But sport brings people together, and you can see with football that really has happened over the last few years.
the more popular teams in NFL teams in Ireland, and how do the ratings do? How does the media aspect of the NFL do in Ireland? And have you seen any growth in the last few years?
I guess, like, I'm 30 odd years of age. If you look at the last generation, you have a lot of New England Patriots fans. Not just because of, jumping on the bandwagon with Tom Brady, but also you've got that situation where it's, people just love football, but they also love that Irish heritage. And I would say, before the Steelers have officially come into the market now, that a lot of people started to support the Patriots because of Boston, its links to Ireland, and the fact that they won like 100 Super Bowls in 20 years. So, you see, we would do like live events in Belfast, Dublin, Cork, etc., and you would see every team represented, which is really cool. There are a fair few amount of Jets fans as well, and Giants fans, but certainly Packers, Steelers, Patriots are the standouts.
O sea que los lazos sanguíneos con Irlanda pesan mucho. Boston, un equipo muy favorito allá, en cualquier modalidad, cualquier deporte en Irlanda. One final question for you, because I don't want to take too much of your time. You have to go broadcast. And I always ask this of people like you and like me who broadcast beyond the U.S. and the home market for the sport. How do you turn a curling or rugby or football fan into an American football fan? What are the touch points? What are the ways to approach them and kind of bring them into the tribe?
I think it's hard. There's no point in me lying about that. It is difficult. Like, I would have people come up to me and say, "Oh, the game is slow. It stops. It starts." I think you gotta bring it down to their level. So, for example, whether that's a Gaelic football player or a hurling player, if they're a fan, bring them up, get them to talk about it. And I'm sure you'd agree with this, there's nothing more you can do than Sunday with the Super Bowl. That's the one game of the year where everyone's like, "Oh, I might check it out." Like, I remember in 2009, I was in Belfast in college, and I went, "Oh, the Colts against the Saints. I'll check this out." So, I mean, it worked out in that sense, but I think that's the key one. I think it's trying to get in and trying to integrate things, but that's more difficult in Ireland when it comes to both Irish sports. I think the Super Bowl is probably the one and big opportunity. I also do feel, though, that a game in Dublin, hypothetically, at some stage in the future, would be that big window. And it needs to be seen on Irish TV. It needs to be on Irish television, that game, whenever it happens.
Irish media have to own the sport.
Yeah, they have to own it. But they also have to find a way to adapt it to their market. Irish people love sport. They love the crack or the fun, as we say. So it can be done. I just think it's going to maybe take a generation to get it to where we need it to be. I would say, in terms of, it's in a very, very good place now. But I feel like it's going to take another 10 to 15 years to get it to that next level, which is not a bad thing. Because you see in London where it's went from to now. I know we can get there, but it's going to take time, and it's going to be historic, over the next few years.
Bueno, Australia, felicitaciones. Irlanda, veremos. Pero por el momento, las gracias a Michael McQuaid. Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
¿Y tú? ¿Estás en ritmo?